Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Coffee Chats with English on Autopilot, the place for you to sit back, relax, listen to some English while you have a nice, relaxing beverage, whether that be coffee, tea, anything that you like. A place for you to listen English naturally on autopilot, where you can turn your brain off, listen, and just focus on understanding what I'm saying. Not every word, not why I'm saying it. This is a place where I speak to you as if you're my friend, as if we're sitting down at a cafe having a cup of coffee. Because between you and I, we are friends here. This is a place for us to communicate. I also love hearing from you guys. If you guys have any ideas or any topics you want me to talk about during these coffee chats, please put them in the comments below and maybe I'll make a good video about it. And then we can talk more and have that dialogue. Two people speaking back and forth. And today, I think you're really going to like the topic of our coffee chat. Today's coffee chat is all about moving abroad. I know I've made videos about me moving abroad, about living abroad, maybe making friends abroad, but today I'm going to argue. Today I'm going to convince you. Today I'm going to tell you why I think it's so important to live abroad. To live abroad for a little bit, of course, if it's possible. Before we get into this, I want you to know, I want everyone to understand here that I know that living abroad is not something that is easy. And depending on your living situation, where you live, what country you live in, your family, your responsibilities, it might be impossible right now to live abroad. I understand that. Also, of course, economically, moving abroad means you need to spend money. And it is not cheap sometimes, depending on where you want to live. It's also not easy. It's not an easy experience. It's not easy to get your paperwork in order, to get everything that you need to do it. Of course, age is a factor as well. The younger you are, the less responsibilities you have. Sure, of course you have family, but maybe you're not the one that needs to make money for your family or to support your family. Maybe you have kids. That makes it very difficult as well. So before we get into this, I don't want you to think that I think that everyone should live abroad no matter what. You have to do it. And if not, terrible. No, of course not. And if you can't live abroad, if you're not able to, hopefully you will be able to travel abroad. I imagine that's why a lot of you are learning English. Learning English to go abroad, to travel, to speak and communicate with other people. The good thing in the world we live in today, with the technology that we have, is that you can make those connections even if you're not able to go outside. Even if you're not able, well, hopefully you're able to go outside your house. But if you're not able to travel to another country, get on a plane or get in a car or in a train and travel a far distance to go to another country. Because sometimes certain countries, it's a lot easier to travel abroad. For example, if you live in Europe, it's not as expensive to go to another country, especially if that country is right next to you. You can go by train, in a car, or even a cheap flight. However, if you live in the United States and you live in the middle of the United States, or like where I lived, it's not easy to go abroad because a flight to Canada is still expensive, just as a flight to Mexico. It depends on where you live, depends on your situation, I understand. And if you're not able to travel, the technology is a great way to connect with these people in other countries. And while it's not quite the same experience, I think a lot of the benefits that I'm going to talk about today, a lot of the positive things that come from living abroad, or at least traveling abroad, you can still experience at home. Thanks to this technology, by utilizing sites to connect to natives in other countries that want to learn your language, and you can do language exchanges, maybe even make some friends, or social media. I know it's crazy, but sometimes you can meet someone through social media. Not in person, but you can meet them with a video call even though you met them online. Please be careful. Please be careful with this. Of course, the internet is not always a friendly place. It's not like English on autopilot. It's not a great family that we have here. Sometimes people aren't as nice online. But let's get into it. I'm sorry. As you will understand, as you will recognize as you watch more of these videos, sometimes I get distracted and I start talking about other topics, and we'll come back to the main topic. Don't worry, it's natural. And almost all the time, I get back to the main topic at hand. And I haven't forgotten it. Living abroad. Now, am I biased? Do I have a specific opinion because of my experiences living abroad? Yes, of course I do. Because I know the person that I am today, the only reason I am the person I am today, the only reason I have the job I have, the friends I have, the partner I have, the only reason I read the books I read, I watch the shows I watch, and I live my day-to-day life the way I do, is because I moved abroad. Without moving abroad, I never would speak another language, read books in it, watch movies in it, date someone who it's their native language. I never would work in the other language and interact with people on a day-to-day basis. There's a lot of things, even just how I make my coffee for these coffee chats is different now that I live abroad. And that's one thing that I think is a great experience of living abroad. The changes that happen, the natural changes that occur from living abroad. Why do these changes occur? Well, because you're exposed to new things every single day. New ways of life, new ways of thinking, different cultures, different customs, what people do every day, different celebrations, different holidays. All of these differences impact you. It would have seemed really weird to me, but now it's something I can't imagine, a New Year's without grapes. Before I moved to Spain, I didn't even like football. I didn't like football, or as we call it in the United States, soccer. But now, I'm a huge fan of football. I don't watch it a lot, but I have a favorite team, and I love to watch when Spain plays in the World Cup and different types of international matches. Something that in the United States I never would have done. And in fact, I always thought soccer was a rather silly sport. I didn't understand it. And now I think it's amazing, and I understand the beauty of it. The books I read have changed. The books that I read in the United States, because the authors, I would have never met these authors because sometimes they're not very famous. They're not world famous. And a lot of these authors, their books have never even been translated into English. But that's the beauty of it, is being able to connect with it, to connect with the culture in its purest form by living in it. Now, even my eating schedule is different. I eat breakfast later. I have lunch at 2 o'clock. I eat dinner at 9, 10 o'clock at night. And when I go back to the United States, people think it's crazy. But here, it's just normal. And speaking of that, one second. Speaking of that, that makes me think of something. The first time I realized and I understood how different I was when I went back to the United States. The first time I went back home was a year and a half after moving to Spain. And I realized so many things felt different. So many things seemed different to me. Things that I've done my whole life. And I thought to myself, why does it feel different? Going to the same restaurant that I always loved. Going to the same places, seeing the same sights, and even seeing the same people. Why does it feel just a little different? And I realized it wasn't the experience that had changed. I had changed. And at first I was worried. I was worried that that change might be negative, might be something that is not good. But after a while, I realized it's not bad at all. It's not bad. I'm not changing these experiences. I've changed and I see them differently and I can appreciate them because I remember how it was. But I think the new perspective is a good thing. Now let's get a little deeper. That's surface level. That's very surface level. That's basic. Of course, your routine might change. The movies you watch might change because you didn't know these things. But why do I think living abroad, or at the very least traveling, is so important? It's not because you might eat lunch at a different time. It's not because all of a sudden you might listen to a different genre of music. However, both of these are important. Both of these are important and will shape your life in a way. But traveling and connecting with people, meeting other people, speaking, sitting down, sharing a coffee or a meal with people that grew up in a different part of the world, in a completely different culture, in a completely different world, opens up your mind. It opens up your mind. And while you see these differences, you see the difference between you and that person that grew up in a very different culture, different family, different structures, different schools. All of these things are different. And yet, the most important thing is you realize they're humans. They're just like you in so many ways. Sure, they might eat 12 grapes for New Year's Eve. They might celebrate Christmas differently, or not celebrate Christmas, or celebrate a different holiday in the wintertime. Whatever. They might eat meat, they might not eat meat. Culturally or for personal reasons. They might have all these little differences, but at the end of the day, they want the same things. They want to be a good person. They want to love the people around them. They want to enjoy life. They want to make friends. They want to make impacts in the world. And right now, the world just feels so divided. To me, as an American, and we'll talk more about this in videos, of course, because America right now is in a very difficult moment. In a very difficult moment where there feels like two people. And not one country. It feels like two sides. It feels like an eternal fight between this side and that side. This or that. All the time. You go online and you see it. You feel it. You feel the anger. First off, please don't go online too much. I feel it myself when I'm online all the time. And that's the thing. That's why I recommend traveling or living abroad if you can, because it's a different connection. It's a different moment. And a lot of the things people say online, they wouldn't say in person. But I think because of this fighting and being online and all these things, we're starting to forget that we're all humans. That on the other side of the computer, hopefully, is another person, not a robot. And going outside, sitting with these people, talking to them, you realize you're all people. And we want to enjoy this life. We want to enjoy what we have here, make an impact. And people will have different opinions. People will always have different opinions. But being abroad, moving abroad, seeing these things hopefully opens your mind to accept these things and even change your mind about certain things. One thing that I am super happy about, super grateful for, something that I don't know what I would look like, what my life would look like without it, is the fact that I've changed my mind on a lot of things since I've moved to Spain. Things that if I could go in the past, let's imagine I can go in a time machine and speak to myself 4 years ago and say, what do you think about this? Oh, I believe this is not important and blah, blah, blah. Well, what if I told you in 4 years you're going to think differently? No, impossible. No way. I've always believed this. And it's true. Back then, I always believed it. But now, things have changed. I've changed. And I truly see the world in a different way. Being open-minded allows me to listen to people, even if I disagree, even if I think that their idea is wrong, even if I feel anger when I hear the idea. It's something that I feel is so against what I believe. But I've learned to stop. Listen. I don't have to agree. I don't have to agree. But I should listen. Because maybe they'll say something that does change my mind. There's no right or wrong in the world. Not everything is 2 plus 2 equals 4, right? There's a lot of intricate, small details in a lot of these problems and issues. And you probably don't have all the answers. I know I don't. I don't have a lot of answers in this world. And people that might be older, different experience, different cultures, because they lived in different countries, come from it from a different perspective, and I understand something in a different way now. Moving abroad, I think, of course, it impacts you in little ways. You might like a new snack, a new candy, a new drink. You might have a different type of coffee you drink, or now you drink coffee, or now you don't drink coffee. It might change your schedule. It might change the art that you like. But the most important impact that I truly believe is that it opens your mind. It allows you to be more flexible, to change things, to be okay trying things, and to be okay changing your mind. One thing that I'm glad that I'm learning because I moved abroad is learning to say and admit that I'm wrong, that I was wrong, that no, what I said, I felt very strongly about it, but I was wrong, and that's okay. Any of you that have moved abroad or that have traveled abroad, tell me what you think about this, because I could be wrong. Let me know what you think. Do you agree with these things? Do you disagree? And finally, would you like to live abroad? And if so, where? Of course, in your comment, don't forget, what are you drinking? Don't forget to subscribe to keep watching more videos with comprehensible input. Don't forget to subscribe to keep watching more videos of comprehensible input right here with English on Autopilot. Thank you for watching. We'll see each other in the next video. Bye.